Hey guys, Merry Christmas. It's just around the corner. Yes, I have a pretty funny hat on, but this is, if anybody is a fan of the Firefly series, this is the cunning hat that Jane Cobb's mother made for him at Post. So just a little fun thing about that. So anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the awesome game called Jump Drive, which is made, I can't remember who makes this game anyway with this company. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, Rio Grande Games. This plays 2 to 4 players, and basically you're laying cards out in front of you together simultaneously and then paying for those cards by discarding cards from your hand. Developments and planets are the two types of cards that you play, and you're building your empire. And it's a very quick game between probably like 6 to 8 turns, I would say. And the first person to get 50 points at the end of the turn, or whoever has the most points at the end of the turn, wins the game. So let's take a quick look at it at the table. Welcome to Jump Drive. You're going to shuffle the cards, and what you're going to do is you're going to set these survey team cards. They can play 2 to 4 players, obviously, and so if you have 2 players, you'll put 2 of these kind of in the center of the table. So if they need to grab one, they can grab one if they really need to. Then you'll also have a few of these chips around. Everybody will get one of these if they need to play this. And then there's a slew of scoring tokens, but I'll just kind of show that as it goes. All right, here. So you shuffle your cards up, and everybody deals 7 cards. You can just draw them right off the top of the deck for each person that there is if you want. And then at the start of the game, you will. They actually have some rules showing that you could set up your hands for, like with these letters in it. Like this one will say, C or whatever, and you can preset your hands to learn, but it's not necessary. This is not a difficult game. The rule book is very easy to read. Okay, so you're going to discard down to 5 cards at the beginning, and there'll be like a community discard area. So and you discard face down, so that way everybody doesn't know what you got rid of. Okay, so there are 2 different types of cards in the game, really. There are developments, which have the diamond around the number there, and then there are planets, and the planets have a circle around it. And there are different types of planets. You have the gray and a tan, and this one's a blue. The yellow is alien, and if you see anything with a red around it, that means that is like a war planet. So to be able to get those, you have to have military to conquer them, but I'll explain that in just a second. So basically, during your turn, you'll play cards face down, 1 or 2 cards each turn, and then you will pay for them out of your hand. And what you do is, like, let's say, oh, I want to play this Galactic Advisors. So you'd hold it down in front of you, and when everybody's made their choice, they will flip up all their cards, 1 or 2 cards that they have, and then they will pay for it. Now, Galactic Advisors cost 3. That means you'd have to discard 3 cards out of your hand. But if you only play the development card and not a planet with it, you will get a discount of 1. So that means you would only pay 2 for this. So you'd pick 2 cards in your hand, and you'd discard them in the discard pile, and that would be your hand. Okay, now another choice you could have had was to play a planet. And if you play a planet, you would put it in play, you'd look at its cost, and it costs 3. Well, you have to pay the full price, so you have to discard 3 cards out of your hand. So if you discard those 3, then that would be able to be set in play. Now, you would be able to, as a bonus though, draw a card to your hand after you paid for the cost of it. And so now that's into your hand. So if you play a development by itself, it's 1 less. If you play a planet, then you will get to draw a card. So that would cost 0 to put into play. This would cost 2, but you would draw 1. Now, if you wanted to put 2 cards into play, and you can't play 2 planets, but there's cards that let you break that rule. But let's say you wanted to play this development and this one. Well, you would pay the full cost. Then you would not get the discount, and you would not get the bonus. So that means you have to pay 1 by discarding the card, and you have to pay 2 for this to discard 2. So you discard 3 total cards to put these into play. And now there's a bunch of iconography on all the cards, and I'll go over them in a second. But let's go to those cards in the center of the table. Now, if you ever get in need where you can't draw cards or have a problem, you can always grab your survey team, because for 0, if you play it by itself, you can put it into play. And it gives you a little bit of everything. It gives you +1 to your military. It gives you 2 of the little eyeball things. And it even lets you know that you can only limit 1 per player per game. And it gives you no scoring value, but it gives you a card you can draw. So at least it can limp you kind of back in if your hand is absolutely just so horrible. But if I found out in this game, the game is very short. It only goes about 6 to 7 rounds, maybe 8. that if you haven't got something going by round 3 or 4, you're going to be in trouble. So if you're in trouble, take care, try to catch up early. Okay, so you can always like choose to play this and then put it into play. Also, you could play that with a planet, but then you'd have to pay the cost as well. Just a little heads up on that. Or you can play this little token here, which gives you 3 of the eye symbols. And by having the eye symbols, it says you're going to draw 2 cards plus all the eye symbols, but then you have to discard all the eye symbols that you had. So that basically means if you had no cards in front of you that had eye symbols, it gives you 3. So you're going to draw 2 cards plus that, which is 5. So basically, it's pretty simple. You're drawing 2 cards plus all your eye symbols, and this little token gives you 3 till the end of turn. And at the end of all that, you look at all your cards plus any cards you had in your hands, and then you have to discard as many eye symbols. So you're basically gaining 2 cards off of playing this, but you don't get to play a card into your empire in front of you. Other cards, like I said, will give you bonuses on them. They'll have different things like, this gives you extra eyeballs. There's the planets that have the military symbol to play. That is different. Hey guys, sorry about the pause, but my video I kind of messed up on, so I just wanted to make sure I made this clear that on the military planets outlined in red, that you do not discard cards out of your hand. You have to have military strength equal to the number that is inside the red circle, the planet itself. So if you have a bunch of +1s on all the cards that add up to 8 in this case for this alien military planet, then you would be able just to put this into play for free. All right, now back to simultaneously to the cast. Sorry about that, guys. An action to play military, you can also play 2 things at one time to qualify for what you need. Because some things like this, the dropships here say it gives you 3 military on it, and this costs 3 military to put this planet into play. So you could, in all essence, have this out and play these 2 cards and say, I'm playing these 2. So you're actually going to pay the 4 for this, and you don't have to pay for the military, you just have to have the military. But this gives you the military as you're playing this, so you'd be able to put this into play. Now, if you already had this into play and you chose to play this, you wouldn't have to discard any cards out of your hand because you had the military for it. And since you only played a planet by yourself, you would get to draw a card. Now, after everybody plays a card, you look at the bottom of the cards to see everybody will score points. And right here, this says this will give me a point. So you grab one of these little chips, if you will, or however you want to keep track of score. 1 for that and 2 for that. And as it builds on the 3rd turn, when you play more cards, you'll get 2 plus 1 plus whatever, and it'll just kind of grow and exponentially. So between like turns 6 to 8, 9 in the worst case scenario, you'll have something going. And then after you score points for everybody, you'll look at the bottom where it says how much money does it take, which is your income phase. So this will give you 0 and this gives you 1. You add all those up, and that's how many cards you draw to replenish your hand. So sometimes you have to wait if you don't have a lot of good card draws. You have to decide what's more important, a lot of points at first, or a lot of little cards to build military, or do I get a bunch of card drawing to ramp my hand to try to get better choices in the middle and late rounds. So there's a couple of options on those. So that's just basically how it is. You can play 1 at a discount, or you can play a planet. And if it's a military planet, you have to have the military to be able to put it into play. And you play till somebody gets 50 points. If more than one player has 50 points at the end of the turn, then whoever has the most points wins the game. And that's Jump Drive, my friends. I really like it. It's quick, it's easy, great filler game for anybody else. Thank you so much for watching the Dice Matrix, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that jazz. And remember, play Jump Drive.